Not quite my tempo? That's not quite my tempo. That's not quite my tempo? That's not quite my tempo.
I'm having, flashbacks as you speak.
I know, right? I see a single tear. What? Are you one of those single tear people?
We be motherfuckers.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Swamp. It's our podcast. It's an acronym.
Stands for some whack-ass movie podcasting.
And one of my best friends, Kevin, he just, kind of goes through phases of sayings. Like, he has, his sayings that he uses in his day-to-day lexicon that are, just very funny. Yeah. Usually right now we're doing a lot of, well, yes,
of course,
like Tokyo Tony.
Yeah.
Whatever is hot at the moment. But lately he's been saying, she's going to have her big one, or she's about to do the big one. And I kind of feel like we're about to do a big one, you guys. Like, Kevin would say we're about to have our big one because this movie has been, looming over us. It's been, like, a spectral force that has been haunting the swamp.
Honestly, yeah.
Since 2014, when it came out.
Yeah, honestly.
To be frank.
Yeah. So here's the thing, is this happened to me.
The crazy thing about this movie is that this happened to Emily, actually. Damien Chazelle.
We met really early on in his career.
Right, of course. Yeah. This didn't happen to him, actually. He stole it from you.
Yes.
And he said, that's crazy. He hooked you up to a machine and, sucked your memories out and then just, gender bent it a little bit, put them in college. And
sure.
Was that whack to, watch this back and be like, holy fuck, that happened to me? Because that doesn't usually happen in movies, right? You can usually, I relate to how the characters are feeling sometimes, or, literally beginning to end, this in a roundabout way, you can relate to these experiences.
Absolutely.
Wholly.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of musicians probably can, to a certain degree. But I would love to hear from people after listening to the stories that we'll tell in this episode. I would love to hear what other people's band experiences was.
Yeah.
Because ours was very particular.
Yeah, and I almost... I think it's particular. I think it's particular because it was so intense, but I corroborated this movie with my brother-in-law, Dan, who went to college for jazz performance.
Sure.
So very similar, maybe not.
To a good institution for it, too.
Yeah, right. And so,
it was no, Berkeley.
I texted him and I was like, what is your experience and, how true this is? And he sent back that it was definitely less of, professors taking out their shitty personal anguish on students, which is so clearly the case here, right? But more the truth of students wanting that level of greatness, pulling all-nighters, neglecting their own health, that stuff, very true, he said. He said, there were kids who just would never leave the practice rooms, and they were in there 24/7 because that's what they thought they had to do to be the best. Yeah. And he said that sort of element of kids pushing themselves way too intensely like that was a very true part of music school. Sure. But he did say that there was a professor who did throw something across a room. Yeah. To get into this podcast, this was actually going to be kind of a big one. This is the big one.
Yeah, it really is the big one.
Because
we're going to gossip a little bit.
We're going to spill a little bit of tea about our personal lives.
Maybe a little trauma.
We're going to try to just talk about the movie, but it's impossible to talk about this movie without also talking about our lore, our origins. This is gonna be a lore-filled episode. Yeah, because Emily and I are friends because we did bands together. Yep. We met in middle school because our middle school is where all the different towns dumped all the kids together. Yeah. We were both in band, and you're friends with the kids who do the same extracurriculars as you. And that's why we are friends to this day. Exactly. Well, we're friends to this day because we're besties, but we met...
Yeah, but that was our origin story, and that was, how we spent a lot of time through middle school and high school.
Yeah, because I do believe you and I both did every extracurricular band that was offered to us at our high school.
Just about. Did you do...
I quit marching band after my sophomore year.
Sure. Here, let's go through them.
Sure. Okay, so tell everyone what instrument you played and what bands you did. Okay.
So I played percussion. I had been playing percussion since 4th grade when they start letting you take instrument classes.
And percussion means the drums, but it also means if there's too many kids, they can stick you on just the triangle, the bells.
The xylophone, which is your worst fucking nightmare. Because you don't know, as a percussionist, you don't know how to read music.
Yeah, that's why.
You know how to read rhythms. I'm sorry, to this day, the amount of times that having taken like music classes in high school, extracurricular things, like summer camps, college. I went to music school for college. The amount of times that I took music theory, and I should understand it by now, it never stuck.
Can't read music.
No, I just can't read music.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I could do it a little bit.
Yeah.
But barely. But yeah, so I did that since I was... How old are you in the 4th grade? Like 8?
4th grade? No, you're
9,
like 11.
11?
10? 10.
I think you're 10.
You're 10 in the 4th grade.
Yeah. And then I did, what was it, like, what did we have? We had band, we had wind ensemble.
So which was a class
band.
in our high school. So we took time out of our day while other kids were at math, we were at band. It was in school.
Yeah.
But then these are all the extracurricular ones, which
jazz
are
band.
school.
I did jazz band. I did marching band. I did pit band for the show choirs.
Mm-hmm.
I never did it for any plays or musicals, though.
Oh, I did.
That's the one thing that I didn't do.
Yeah, I did it for the plays and musicals as well.
But I think that was it. Were there any others that...
No, that was... Yeah.
Okay, so only 3.
Those are all the big ones.
Not that crazy.
Jazz, pit band,
jazz, pit, marching band.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I played...
But that's all that there was.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you were going to, like, take private lessons and go be in, like, a... group outside of school. These were all the things that our school offered.
Yeah, so I was like, I played like the snare drum in the marching band, and then I was on like the drum set in the other 2, and then...
So you were, oh my god, I was about to say Nicolas Cage. No, you were Nick Cannon in Drumline. Like, you were fully
basically.
Drumlining it.
Yeah, Drumline was like the big one.
This is the one that was a little most relatable to this film.
Yes.
As far as an intense instructor being really aggressive.
Exactly, yeah.
And
so you did most of the same, except you quit marching band, like, what, sophomore year?
So I played the clarinet, really studious.
Uh-huh.
I was recently having this conversation with my husband that I always thought of band as being an academic subject because it was something that was offered during the day at school.
Uh-huh.
I'm taking time out of my academic day to go learn this skill that involves, engaging your brain and learning a skill. So it just always felt very academic to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, logically, I would pick the most academic instrument,
Absolutely.
right? Which seems like the clarinet, right?
I guess so.
To me, I was like, that seems studious. I'm very studious. I'll
go for that.
And he's like, you didn't think it was fun? And I was like, no. No, I didn't think it was fun. I thought it was school. Like,
see, I started playing the drums because my grandpa played the drums.
Yes.
Yeah. When did you start playing? How old were you?
4th grade.
Fourth grade.
4th grade. Same.
You were thinking because it's studious.
It's studious.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was good at school. I was smart, and I was like, I'm a smart person, and smart people seem like they play the clarinet. Like Squidward, he's very smart.
Sure. Yeah.
So I played the clarinet, and then into high school, I played piano outside of school, so I got to do piano in like jazz band and the pit band. So I did clarinet during the day at school. I transitioned to bass clarinet because it was easier and you just got to play louder and easier music, which was awesome.
That's a good call.
And I got to sit next to my boyfriend, so that was great. They were like, hey, do you want to go play the instrument that sat next to Henry? And I said, well, yes, of course. Oh, yes, of course. That sounds great.
That must have been so fun.
I can seductively lick my reed in front of the boy I like. Like, yeah, that's actually what being here is all about for me.
Yeah.
So I played the bass clarinet for a while. I was like in the States, like finalist for bass. I was not good. Like I was
we did
fully not good.
Districts together.
Yeah, like whatever.
Which is like
to like compete with kids from other schools. But I played, and then I played the piano in the jazz band but then they also had me play saxophone sometimes because it's like kind of the same as the clarinet. But I was never really great at any of them. I just sort of did whatever they asked me to do at like an incredibly like C+ to B- level. I didn't really practice a lot because I had a lot of other shit going on. I had other hobbies.
You had a boyfriend.
I was like, this is, I had a boyfriend. I'm like, this is just a part of school for me.
You also were in you played in the pit band, in the pit. In marching band for like 2 years.
Oh, yes, I did. So I was technically a part of the drum line, which is...
I forget that.
Which is where I'll say my observance of what had happened to you was at its greatest, because...
Yeah, I'd love to hear... I'm excited to hear what your outside perspective is, because I've blocked a lot out.
Yeah, so we're not gonna trauma dump too much, but in order to preserve people's names, we're going to call the drum teacher we had, his name will be Mr.
Yeah.
And then our band teacher we had, who during the day, his name will be Mr. But Mr. also going to be talking about Mr. because he's J.K. Simmons, and he thought he was J.K. Simmons, and Mr. he had a complex, he had a God complex, and he played in the drum line for the local college that has a good drum line.
Yeah, great drum line. But I mean, not like...
It was fine. It was like a mid-level American U.S. college drum line.
Like you might see him in the Macy's Day Parade on Thanksgiving.
Sure. Yeah, like they were getting gigs, they were great, but it was like, that's it. It's a college-level drum line that plays at football games. Yep. Like that is, hey, and if that's your goal and you've achieved it, that's a really great thing. I couldn't make a band like that. That's for fucking sure. You have to work really hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for some reason, this man was like, let me go be a high school level educator and
that's what happens when you do performance in college. I mean, what is it? What's the phrase? If you can't, those that can't do, teach.
Oh yeah, those that can do, those that can't teach.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very much that for, I think a lot of music instructors. I think shout out to the people that went to school to become music teachers
who care about it and want to teach.
Exactly. Yeah. You guys are so important because I think that there's probably a lot of really shitty music teachers out there. And I think that we are far from the only people that have this experience because I think that both of our band instructors were people that never made it professionally and took it out, knocked down a handful of pegs and ended up taking it out on us in the end.
Yeah, but he basically redirected all of this internalized rage about not really making it past this drum line or whatever. And then he was the instructor of both our jazz band and our drum line. Yes. So he was a drum guy and a jazz guy, which is why this movie feels very close to home. Because I was not so much on the end of his rage because I was not playing the drums and I was never really good. So I never really needed to have that pressure put on me.
You weren't first chair.
But the way he would yell at the snares during rehearsals, this man would explain, he's like, my hands used to be bleeding, and I would put super glue in the cuts and let it dry because that's how much I cared about drumming. And not presenting that as a cautionary tale of hey, take care of yourself. It was like, you guys aren't working hard enough.
Absolutely.
It was incredibly intense and it was incredibly scary. And we
got yelled at.
We got screamed at a lot. And I think you and I both just felt very tense all the time being in that environment because he was such an intense guy.
We were also 14-year-old girls.
Of course.
Which there's a whole other layer to that.
Insane. But yeah, the screaming in the face and the pushing to be great when the stakes actually couldn't be lower. It's a high school level jazz band. And
marching band.
He wanted us to compete and win. And that just simply was that needed to be a 10-year plan, not a 10-week plan.
Yeah, the amount of kids that were sat in that jazz band that were baked out of their mind.
Present company fully included.
See, I could never have because I had to be top tier.
Because you were getting screamed at.
Yeah.
And I was over there this is crazy that everyone's getting screamed at.
I don't think my self-esteem has ever recovered.
From that level of being called out.
And it was, jazz band was one thing, but I knew that I wasn't, top tier. We had a couple of other people in jazz band as well, and there was certainly, oh god, I can't remember what his name is in this movie, but the guy that was already there before Neiman comes in.
Sure, the guy whose folder gets misplaced.
Yeah. I had one of those.
Yes, yeah. The guy who you needed to usurp.
Yeah. I never wanted to.
No, but he was just
older.
Why
do I want that heat?
He was just older than you.
He was also immensely better.
Yeah, but then he just graduated, and then you got to be the best. And that's just sort of the way it was. And that's how normal people behave instead of I'm gonna devote every waking thought I have to learning music so that I can kick ass.
Exactly. But what I remember being the more traumatic space was marching band. And I think that a lot of that was also because this instructor got to sort of isolate the drum line.
Yep.
And you were there for a bit of it.
Some of it.
But you were, sometimes the pit stayed inside with the rest of the band, and it was just the drum line out there.
Yep.
And we got our asses handed to us.
And it was physical as well. You had to be wearing an incredibly heavy piece of equipment that was physically taxing.
We almost never had our drums on stands when we were practicing. It was very rare. It was maybe the first 1 or 2 days of marching band, if that, because we were sitting there learning the music.
And to put this into perspective, we were in a high school marching band that was not entering competitions. This was purely to perform at the football's halftime show.
We ended up...
We did one.
No, we did competitions. We did competitions every year. But yes, it was one competition every year, just about.
A local one.
Yeah.
Like, the way he was treating you guys was as if there were huge stakes. And there just weren't. We did one local competition, and we performed at the football games. And of course, you want to sound good, and that's important.
Sure.
But, like, fully ruining kids' self-esteem, because he would do he would do the same thing that J.K. Simmons does in this movie, where he would pull out personal details about people and use them as insults against them to try to break their psyche to make them better at music.
Yeah.
And that's fucked. You and I were like, do you think he's seen this movie? And if so, was he like, why is there a documentary about me? Also, did he start going to therapy?
I don't know if he's self-aware enough, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, come on. How could he not?
I don't know.
But he did get fired from our school for bullying, literally for like bullying the students. Enough reports came up against him.
Well, the thing that broke the camel's back was because we had one person there who had injured themselves because we were made to run laps before we started marching band, and they got injured, and he ended up telling this person that they were holding us back weeks later down the line because they weren't
running
healed. Well, yeah, and marching band is an incredibly physical thing. Nuts. It was just nuts. But no, there was like, I mean, I remember so many people crying.
He would call people like a loser. He'd be like, you're a loser in front of everyone. He was really trying to garner this kind of level of intensity.
Yeah, which, I mean, I think...
Maybe not quite this level, but like...
No, not this level, but I mean, looking back at it, like, it certainly feels like it's very on par for if we were in college, this is what we would have gotten.
Yeah,
If it was, which I'm so glad that I didn't do performance in college, because I couldn't imagine this level.
And I
think J.K. Simmons does a fabulous job, and obviously he won the Oscar for this.
Yes, Best Supporting Actor at the 2015 Oscars, which... wait, I actually want to talk about why we're talking about this movie. Wait,
maybe we shouldn't just jump right into the drama.
Maybe we shouldn't just, like, dictate all of our lore. And actually, I do want to shout out a couple of listeners. Kai Urada Espinosa on Instagram sent us a post that was, like, the Whiplash movie is having its 10-year anniversary, release, like re-showing, remastering, whatever, at a lot of theaters. And they sent this to us on Instagram, and I was like, oh my god, so inspired, because I've been looking for an excuse for us to do Whiplash, but also for the rest of this month, we're just going to do all movies that came out in 2014, therefore making them 10 years old this year, right? So just about a 10-year-old birthday party for Whiplash, and a 10-year-old birthday party for Miles Teller.
I mean, basically.
No, he was 27, but he has such a baby face in this. I just think about what he looks like now.
I think we cracked the code on this tonight when we were watching this. I have said that there's something about Miles Teller that makes me a little uneasy.
Which, can you put your finger on it? Is it just like a sense, or do you know him to have done anything? Because I was trying to Google about his like personal life, and I just found that like he has a really hot wife.
Yeah,
like, that's about it.
Good job, bud.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I think it's just that we realized he has Amish face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's from Pennsylvania.
Yep. Well, I thought he was from Canada because he said sorry, and I'm like, he must be from Canada. He must be a secret Canadian, and he let that
Which I think it makes sense hearing that he's from Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Instead. Yeah. That still checks out.
Like the old Dutch, maybe they're saying sorry down there as well.
Yeah. Who knows? Who's to say?
But he's from Pennsylvania. We're like, oh, yes, of course. You look a little Pennsylvania Amish, Dutch, a little bit, a little Amish. Amish face equals anti-iPhone face equals great casting for period pieces.
I mean, yeah, even though this is flip phone times or something like that.
Yeah, whatever, though.
Has he ever done a period piece?
No, but he's so plain looking. I think he'd be great.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, just really can just, like, make him a peasant. Or just... He's just a pretty plain-looking guy. He's a phenomenal actor, though. Yeah. I think he's always great.
I mean, I really loved this movie. I mean, I remember seeing it in 2014 when it came out, when I was in the throes of this weird relationship. And I really loved it then, and I still love it now. I think it's great. I think this is probably the third, maybe fourth time that I've ever seen this movie.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I think it's beautifully done, and I think it's a really great film. It did kind of start to lose me a little bit this watch around. Maybe that's just because I know it well enough at this point. And I mean, I know the parts that I want to see.
Yes, I think that the car incident at about the halfway point
the
is
Quinn
really...
Fabray car accident.
The shot-by-shot remake of Quinn Fabray's car accident, but shot-by-shot remake of the Quinn Fabray car crash.
Of course.
And then it sort of like gets to a low simmer again until the last roughly 15-20 minutes, which are just like the most phenomenal shit ever put to film. Like, let's fucking go, let's clock in. If I was a finance bro day trader, I would put that clip on the last 10 minutes of this movie to like lock in, to lock in for trading mentally. That would get me there, right? Because I feel so
day trading.
I feel so fucking locked in and hyped. I'm like, I get it. The grind never stops. Aspiration is limitless, and you must overcome your hurdles and usurp your enemies. Is what I feel at the end of this movie.
Unfortunately, it is a really good message of you can be great, even if you ruin your life. Which is it's exactly what happened to Mr.
You know, I guess being great is being in a college level drumline, which I guess that's great for you.
Hey, whatever works, man.
Hey, whatever works. But yeah, he also like would give up like interpersonal relationships in order to pursue drumming even harder. Like, and he would tell us about it, about like, you need to like, you know, trim the fat out of your life to make more space for drumming. You shouldn't go on vacations because you should be practicing drumming.
Basically.
We were like, dude, we're 15 years old. What are you talking about? My parents told me we're going to Boca Raton. That's just where we're going. Like, I can't bring the drum kit with me, dude. We're flying Spirit. Like, I'm sorry.
It's just so crazy, too, because, I mean, you talked to your husband about this.
Yes, because we were all in band together.
We were all in band together. You and me will agree that we found it pretty traumatic, generally. I also talked to our friend who was the bass player in jazz band, and he also agreed that he found it incredibly stressful and unnecessarily intense and harsh, and that he was scared for a lot of it. So but my husband was like, no, music is fun, and that's why I did it. I loved making music. I loved making music, and I loved that we sounded good, and I didn't mind the tense environment because we sounded really good for it, which is true. Exactly, that's the tough thing. That guy got fired, and a softer man was put in his place, and we stopped sounding good. That was the tough thing, because I remember, like, I had been taking private lessons with this person since I was, 10 or 11 years old, like 5th grade or something like that. So I feel like I didn't get to really, like, figure out and, like, find my love for the instrument almost. Yes. It was just from the jump, like, oh, we're after, like, greatness. Yes. Honestly. And I never felt like I could actually develop a passion for it. It was just like, oh, I want to be good. And so I was and I was willing to, deal with the stressful environment because we did sound great. Yep. But, like, now, looking back, I'm, like, so sad that I haven't, like, kept up this relationship with drumming because I didn't feel like I loved it. Yeah. And it was something that I needed to do or wanted to do all of the time. And now I'm sitting there, like, getting back to it, and I have to, like, almost recreate this relationship that I had with this instrument for so long. Yeah. Because I had to put it down after that. I mean, after high school, mind you, I went to music school and I studied, like, business management. And weirdly, I didn't really get the opportunity to play in any bands that were, like, school sanctioned, but also extracurricular or anything like that. It was sort of like, if you're not in the performance division, then fuck off. Yeah. Exactly. Like, I didn't have access to practice rooms or instruments, and I couldn't bring my own drum set to school, Yeah. So I haven't played for, like, 7+ years, really. And then as an adult, you're like, I would love to have a hobby, right? As now that you do have all this, more free time, certainly more than I did when I was 15, you're like, that is, like, a hobby that I could pursue, but it was never presented as being something that was, like, fun or a hobby. Exactly. It was work. It was presented as, like, this should be hard and it should be, like, stressful. I mean, I just bought an electric drum set so that I can try to get back into this thing. And it's so interesting because my first reaction to getting on a kit for the first time in, like, 7 years or so is getting frustrated because I don't have the same chops that I did back then. But then you think about, like, But it's fine. It's fine if I'm just sitting there, like, grooving on the ride, like, for 20 minutes. Like, it doesn't matter. But I still feel almost this need of, like, I have to be good still.
Yeah, of course, because
even if I haven't touched it in 7 years,
because
like
that person will always have put that inadequacy, that feeling of inadequacy, which J.K. Simmons, this is why this movie is a fucking psychological horror.
Oh, absolutely.
Because J.K. Simmons is placing this, like, purposely manipulating this kid into feeling worthless so that he'll work harder, so that he can become his, best self in the eyes of this instructor.
Sure.
Right? Which shouldn't be his job to bestow that kind of worthless feeling. Obviously, this kid already has a little bit of this already inside of him, so why would you, like, open that up even more? As an educator, you should be, like, nurturing and helping people grow, which obviously this movie's not trying to say that this is correct. The end result of this movie is like, yes, he got it, but at what cost? His life is literally nothing outside of this interaction. He gets the eyebrow quirk from J.K. Simmons, and it's fucking awesome. Yeah. And you feel it, too, as an audience member.
But what happens after this?
Yeah, but then after that, your life is still miserable, and, your ex-girlfriend from 2 years ago who you randomly called is not showing up to your jazz show. Like,
Marley Rose!
Your life is just sad. Yeah, Marley Rose jump scare. If it had been me and J.K. Simmons had set my ass up like that, and then I ran off the stage and Jen was there to greet me with a hug, I would have proceeded to exit with Jen, and we would have, like, gone and got ice cream, and everything would have been fine.
Absolutely.
But Jen wasn't there, and I'm not Miles Teller. But Jen is here on the podcast. Hi, Jen. Welcome. For Chocolate or Vanilla, your interim podcast segment, you're going to say two things. We're all going to say which one we like better. Is there a theme this week?
There is a theme. So these are moments in movies that are all about the music.
Moments in movies that are all about the music. Okay. I know you love a musical moment in a movie, whether it
I love a musical
Glee-esque, as in the characters are singing, or just, like, incorporated in a score or otherwise dramatic fashion. Yep. Jen always gets really into the Oscar-nominated songs. You always have your playlist ready to go the minute they announce the nominees, and you, like, run that shit in the car so that you really have an opinion on best song every year, I think.
I do. And they're never the best songs that play in movies. Like, you know what I mean?
No, never.
Yeah. They're never these moments. Like, this one's not in there, but come on, Ferris Bueller. Bump, bump, chicka, chicka, right?
Yeah, it almost is like that should be a separate category, right? Like music integrated within the film. That was nice, Oscar. That's a proposal for a new Oscar. I think they should do animal actors, stunt workers,
music supervisors.
Yeah. Because, I mean, they used to have music editing, but now they just have, like,
best
score, song,
best sound design.
And sound. Do they have sound design anymore?
I couldn't even tell you.
I don't know.
But no, music supervisors deserve a lot more credit than they're given.
So chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Vanilla.
Chocolate. Chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry?
Chocolate.
Mystic vanilla.
I'm going to go strawberry. First one. La Vie Boheme from Rent, or Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast?
Ooh, Be Our Guest, Beauty and the Beast. That is iconic.
I have a hot take. I really don't care about Rent.
Yeah.
At all.
It's fine. I mean, it's fine. Like, I've seen the movie. I've seen it on Broadway, actually. And it was like, yeah, it's, like, fine. I get why people like it, but it's just not one of my favorites.
I can get down to Be Our Guest, though. So that's my pick.
And at Disney, the, like, immersive 4D experience ride where they make the air smell like pies.
I can't say I remember that.
That's the time you'll only catch my ass being a Disney adult. Yeah. Is when they make the air smell like a delicious pie.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's nice.
I'll go Be Our Guest too. I think there is a small section of people who love the movie Rent.
Definitely.
Yeah. I can see how it could be a small contingent of very passionate fans.
Yes, exactly. Okay, next one is Perfect Day during the opening of Legally Blonde. Best day of my life when Hilary Duff is coming down the staircase in Cinderella Story.
Oh, so good. Both such good choices. Honestly, though, I think good music set to an opening montage is a fucking banger way to start any movie. If you can hit that out of the park, you've got me locked in, because I know I'm about to at least trust that this is heading in a good direction, right?
Yeah.
Whereas that moment from A Cinderella Story, I'm thinking more about, like, what she's wearing and, like, Hilary Duff herself rather than, like, the music. So I'll go with the montage because I think the music is doing more heavy lifting there.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty iconic opening too. Yeah, I'm gonna go Perfect Day on this one as well.
Okay, yeah, me too. Perfect Day for sure. And Best Day of My Life. I'm sorry, that was one of my favorite moments ever. And then next one is Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, when in the Elton John movie, or Kingsman when they play Casey and the Sunshine Band when Eggsy is fighting with the double amputee. That might be kind of niche.
That is pretty niche, but I do know what you're talking about. That fight scene is pretty great, actually. Hot take, but I loved Kingsman back in 2014. I haven't really revisited it since, so I don't know where I stand on it now, but I remember really liking when that came out in the theaters. And I know the fight scene you're referring to. I don't really remember the music, though. But also, I would say out of the Elton John movie, that's also not the song I would have picked out of Rocket Man as being, like, the song. So I don't know. So I guess I'll go with Kingsman, I guess.
I'm going to go for Rocket Man on this one because I do remember that one very well and it felt like one of the more choreographed ones, like big long shots throughout the movie and like those big dance sequences. So I'm going to go for Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where he starts out as a boy and then they go to the fair and then he jumps through the window and now he's a man. Like the little transition scene. But I will go with Kingsman because you might not remember that song, but it's Casey and the Sunshine Band is Give It Up is a banger. You guys would really like it.
Casey and the Sunshine Band actually only makes bangers. I don't know if you know that.
They only have 2 songs and they're both bangers.
Two-hit wonder. It happens.
Yeah.
Next one is Son of Man on Tarzan. Go the Distance on Hercules, or I'll Make a Man Out of You from Mulan.
Oh, all iconic. Truly, if I'm not having any bias here, I believe Son of Man with that montage sequence is the best use of music paired with film out of those 3. Of course, I'm a Mulan head. I would always pick Mulan. But I think I have to clear my mind. Objectively speaking, I think it's Tarzan.
I think it's Go the Distance, honestly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would rank that third.
Really?
I would rank that third, too. Not bad, but third. Yeah.
Oh, it's just something about that, like, makes my heart, like, ooh. I don't know. It just gets me. I don't even think I can remember what Son of Man sounds like.
Wow.
Yeah. Obviously,
you're not a real Phil Collins head.
I guess not.
Damn.
No, I'm gonna go for Go the Distance. I love that one.
All right, I'm gonna go with Son of Man. You would totally know it if you heard it. I want to listen to Go the Distance like right now, though. Now that you, but Son of Man's like he's like skateboarding on the vines and stuff. Yeah,
and he's going from a child to an adult. It's the growing up sequence. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I'm sure.
Him being raised by the apes. It's so touching.
Next one is the Pulp Fiction dance scene. Or the High School Musical dance scene, all in this together at the end.
Ooh. Well, I didn't have the dance along DVD to Pulp Fiction growing up. That's for fucking certain. Do I still know the moves to this day? The sing along DVD that came up with the little inflatable basketball, so you could learn the dance. What's the one that they do with the basketballs?
Yeah, Get Your Head in the Game.
Get Your Head in the Game. Iconic. Yeah, I've got to go with Kenny Ortega was just putting in the work making those kids dance for we're all in this together, so I simply have to say that.
Yeah, wow, I think I agree with you on that one. I think that truly is, in the grand scheme of things, more iconic. If you ask me.
High School Musical.
Yeah, sorry, Quentin Tarantino. It's not you this time, it's Kenny Ortega. Yeah.
I am gonna go High School Musical for the sweep. Although one year Dara had a Halloween costume, just black wig, white shirt, big red blood spot.
Yep.
Perfect.
Easy. It's an easy one. If you can just get a little bob wig, you can kind of just have that one on lock.
Yeah.
As a shake and go. Yeah. Shake and go Halloween costume.
Next one is in Twilight, the music during the baseball game or the music during the prom.
Oh my god! I actually just watched Twilight the other day.
Really?
Believe it or not, yeah. Sometimes you gotta, the seasons are turning. Fall is coming. Twilight.
Yeah, you gotta
Forks,
do that.
Washington.
You gotta do that new moon one where she's just sitting in her.
Oh my god, the most accurate portrayal of depression on film.
Truly,
so true. I think Supermassive Black Hole during the baseball scene is too iconic for me to not pick it, but the scene during the prom,
is it
Flightless Bird American Mouth, is also so good. I actually just participated in a wedding where they walked down the aisle to the song from Twilight.
That's what they walked out of the aisle to?
Epic.
I would bawl my eye. That's genius.
And she was like,
so genius.
The bride was like, yeah, I honestly had to cut down on the amount of Twilight songs that were incorporated into the wedding because I wanted it to be like every major moment was like, we're whipping out the Twilight classics.
I mean, that's how they really did it right.
Exactly. Yeah. Walk down the aisle to Twilight at your wedding. Shouts out.
You see, if I was picking it standalone, I would go for Flightless Bird, but I do think Supermassive Black Hole for the baseball scene is the right choice here.
With the thunder crack, with Alice throwing up her leg to
leg behind the ears.
To send that cunty little pitch. Yeah. It's, there's nothing better.
Yeah, baseball game from the sweep, definitely. Next one is All-Star during Shrek 1.
Ooh.
Or Holding Out for a Hero, Shrek 2.
Jen.
It's really not a question for me.
Jen. It's Holding Out for a Hero in Shrek 2, of course.
Yeah.
I love me some Smash Mouth. Shouts out Smash Mouth.
Sure.
Honestly, if pitted up against almost anything else, I would maybe have picked that, but that's the best song in the entire Shrek franchise, undoubtedly.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That sequence alone is cinematic, beyond belief.
Yeah, one time in grad school, I wrote an advertisement about Listerine breath strips that was based on that scene, and my teacher said if this was real life and we were at work, I would fire you and tell you to get out of my office. And I'm like, sorry, only real Shrek heads know. Only real Shrek heads will get this Listerine strip ad.
Next one is the opening.
No, Jen, you didn't go. I cut you off.
Oh, I said All-Star. I actually said All-Star. Sorry. Next one is in Devil Wears Prada, the opening credits, Suddenly I See. And
so good.
Or in 500 Days of Summer, the You Make My Dreams Come True in the Park.
The post-nut Hall & Oates is actually too real for me to not pick that one, because I feel like I've already given my flowers to the opening sequence montage with the Legally Blonde pick.
Yeah.
Although I will say Devil Wears Prada deserves a commemorative checkmark as well, but it's gotta be Joseph Gordon-Levitt just clicking his little heels after getting some. It's so good.
That's like the only, really good part of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm shocked you chose the opening credits on that one, Jen, instead of, what is it? The scene where her clothes are changing?
Oh, yeah, I probably should have, huh?
But we can't think of what song that is, so it couldn't have been that iconic.
I think it's Madonna. Yeah.
Oh, it was a Vogue.
But yes. Yeah, I am gonna go Hall & Oates for this one.
Yeah, I'll go Hall & Oates too. I love a movie where they throw in a little animated piece, even though it has no place being there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Next one is the song Heroes by David Bowie. At the end of Jojo Rabbit, when Elsa and Jojo dance in the street, or in Perks of Being a Wallflower, where they're in the limo in the tunnel.
I will say, surviving the Holocaust versus coming of age in, New Jersey are, not really comparable experiences, so I am gonna have to give it to Jojo Rabbit. We also got, not canceled, but we made a TikTok about...
Oh, people love to tell us how wrong we were.
Yeah, we made a TikTok once about that song, and everyone was like, not these idiots not realizing that David Bowie was from the 90s, and I'm just like, okay, cancel me some more, I guess.
I don't even know. It's a feeling, it's not an actual song.
Yeah,
shit
right.
like that.
Whatever.
For that reason, I'm also gonna go Jojo Rabbit on this one, because I think Perks of Being a Wallflower is annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same. Jojo Rabbit. Next one is Thank You, when Maui sings it in Moana, or Everything is Awesome from the Lego movie.
Oh, both of these songs were like hit the very first time you saw the movie. You're like, fuck yeah, but then got so annoying as soon as you stepped out of the theater because you're like, oh, nobody's gonna shut the fuck up about this for the next 6 months. I've never seen the Lego
movie.
I love the Lego movie. I love Legos.
I've heard great things.
Nothing but praise for the first Lego movie. I can't really speak about the rest of the franchise per se, but yeah, Chris Pratt in a voice acting role that I don't hate. He's fine in the Lego movie. I still think it should have gone to a voice actor, obviously.
Yeah, always.
It doesn't. His performance there doesn't really piss me off so much.
That's hard to do
because he's supposed to just be like a boring guy, so it makes sense for him to like have a boring voice. Sure. Like Mario's supposed to sound like Mario. I will die on that hill.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. I'm gonna go. Hold on, what was my other choice? I'm gonna go Moana.
I'm gonna go Moana too. I used to have a patient who loved that song, and we could only start the treatment if we both sang it.
I love that.
So I used to play it. That's the only way I could get her to do her exercises.
That's cute.
You had to learn the full Lin-Manuel Miranda rap. She's like, no, do the rap. Like, do the rap part.
I'm like, we both knew it. That's the problem.
Oh, I love it.
Next one is, this one's for you, From Mamma Mia #1, Dancing Queen, or from Mamma Mia 2, here we go again, Super Trooper.
Can I pick Super Troopers from #1?
Oh my god, yeah.
No, I'll go with the classic #1, Dancing Queen.
Yeah, it's gotta be Dancing Queen.
Yeah, I love that song, so it's Dancing Queen for me too. This is the last one.
Okay.
From Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen singing at Live Aid, or from Little Miss Sunshine, Super Freak, or Darren Criss singing Backstreet Boys in Girl Most Likely.
Girl Most Likely is a movie that Jen has forced me to watch at metaphorical gunpoint several times throughout my life. I actually think maybe only the once, but it's like an Anna Kendrick, Sam Rockwell movie.
Of course.
What's the Anna Kendrick? What's that movie? That's another. These movies feel the same to me.
This is one of those, you know how you guys have those conversations about movies that are bad that I just unapologetically like.
Sure.
That one's called Mr. Right, Sarah.
Mr. Right. That's the same as Girl Most Likely to me because that is what fucking. Not Emily Blunt, but Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig and Darren Criss. Yeah, he's in like a Backstreet Boy cover band.
No, it's gonna be a no from me. And I think Super Freak during Little Miss Sunshine is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I love that ending sequence. So I gotta shout out my fave.
I gotta jump on this one with Dara.
Yeah, I love all of these, but and I think the AO, that's really cool. But of course I'm gonna go with Darren Criss, dressed in all white with his guy liner, singing to Kristen Wiig.
Weekly Darren Criss mention. We've got to circle back. How do you feel about the baby named Brother? Now that it's sat with you for some time, are we yay or nay on Baby Brother?
Yeah, I say you do you. I'm good with it.
Yeah. Okay, we fully accept you, Darren Criss. Yeah. Official, our embassy to celebrities. Jen is our representative, our correspondent.
Yes.
So all opinions on Darren Criss must pass through Jen, and therefore, stamp of approval, check, he can get on the invite list. Darren Criss, you're welcome on the swamp anytime. We would love that. And we love you, Jen. Thank you as always for being here, and we will see you next week.
I love you guys. Have an awesome night.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye. This movie was entirely just J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller.
Yeah, I do think...
Which I really love.
I agree with you that this watch around, it started to feel a little bit boring because there's a lot of scenes that are a lot of tense, conflict-driven dialogue, right? Like, we get that really intense scene of when Miles Teller goes to see him at the jazz club. Yeah. Right? And he's playing piano, and then they reconnect. And I guess from the perspective now, you know that he kind of flips it on him, right? But just like J.K. Simmons just pulling the fucking puppet strings, just
which I do. Yeah, I love watching it from that perspective, knowing that he's fucked the entire time.
But just these conflict-driven, intense dialogue scenes don't make for a very interesting movie. It's pretty slow. The plot is fairly thin.
I do.
But it's not a build-up for these huge key moments.
I do think visually it's stunning.
And that's why I think this movie gets it, because if this movie wasn't as beautiful as it is, I don't think it would be worth watching.
No.
But every shot, the camera movements, the color grading, so much thought and care was put into it. And I will talk shit about Damien Chazelle on the La La Land front, but I have nothing but respect for this man when it comes to this movie. I like filmmakers who care about film and who care about making their movies look nice. Yeah.
No, and I will say I do think this and Babylon go together more than...
I'll have to watch.
You know, I really enjoy it.
I've
I think it's
avoided it
fun.
because it's 3 hours long.
Yeah, it is tough. But if you really want to visually have something, you know, do it for you, that's her.
Yeah.
La La Land didn't do that for me. And it makes sense to me that I believe La La Land was the first thing that he wrote.
Interesting.
And this is the first thing that actually got made, which this is a crazy powerhouse movie to come out swinging with.
Yeah, wild. $3.3 million budget.
Yeah.
That is pennies.
Yeah.
Pennies.
Which makes sense. There's only like 4 different locations in this film.
Right, and like 2 characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Names, right? But $3.3 million, I would have expected J.K. Simmons' payout of this alone to be more than that. You know what I mean? So that's crazy.
No, he must have really liked it.
Yeah, because he won Best Supporting Actor. So I did take note. So my first Oscars actually was the 2016 Jen and I started our Oscar quest.
2016?
In 2016, which is the year that Spotlight won Best Picture. But our quest was in...
That was 2016?
Yes. Jen and
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I was still in high school, yeah.
Why does it feel like... I mean, we play this, I don't know if you do it still, the movie grid game. Oh my god, I put Spotlight down the other day for something, got wiped right off, because
the years? It's like from 1990 to 2010, yeah.
I thought it was a 2010 movie.
No, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah,
That's so wild.
Yep. But the reason why Jen and I started going to see all the Oscar films is because we watched the Oscars in 2015 and Birdman won Best Picture.
Yeah.
And we were like, we don't know anything about this, but this feels wrong.
Yeah.
We would like to have an opinion about this.
Absolutely.
So maybe next time we should see them all, which is kind of how it started. But I had not seen Birdman and I had not seen Whiplash, and I said, this feels like an upset. I'm like, it truly feels like this should be going to the drumming movie when it's not. So the 2015 Oscars were kind of a wild year, but J.K. Simmons won Best Supporting Actor for this. This movie also won Best Editing. I think that is well deserved. Sound mixing, duh.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And then it was nominated for Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a brilliant film.
Yeah, a great debut as well.
Can't say it's one of my favorites. I got too much attached to it. But I do love it. And I mean, for all that, like, jazz band was shit in high school, it did instill a love of jazz for me.
You like jazz?
I do love some jazz.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm a Buddy Rich girl.
Yeah, it makes me kind of old man. It also makes me feel like there was nothing more insufferable in high school than a boy in jazz band trying to talk to me about jazz. I was like, we do jazz together.
Yeah.
We do jazz together 3 days a week. Why are you talking to me about jazz outside of school? Ask me what my favorite color is, right?
Yeah.
I had many a Miles Teller interaction in this where they're like, all I think about is jazz band. And I'm like, well, I don't want to talk to you.
I knew a handful of Miles Tellers having gone to a music school. But like the funny thing is about jazz band is you're either Miles Teller or you are the most chill, relaxed person I've ever met on the planet. You're probably high out of your mind, or you have an alcohol problem.
Right.
But you're also a very nice person.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll take that.
I've met, like, there's really, at least in my experience, 2 kinds of people that play jazz. Either a train wreck, like, savant, like, you know, best jazz player you've ever met.
Or like a type A.
Yeah. In the practice room, like, hasn't showered in 2 days because they don't have the time.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I just like to listen to it, so I can't say.
Exactly.
I never understood that level of intensity about anything you found as a hobby. I don't want to be that good. If I have to bleed, I don't want to bleed for anything. I don't ever want to be bloodied. Not for a hobby, not on accident.
I'll tell you what, watching this, like, really brought me back to, like, I mean, I think this movie does a great job of immersing you. I was in that sweaty room with all those boys. Yeah,
you were sweating on that cymbal, giving it the beautiful dewdrop effect.
Of course.
As she shakes away.
Yeah. Well, I was basically raining on it.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, no, I think it does a brilliant job of it. Like, it really brings me back. I will say that.
Yeah. Don't miss it, though.
No, I mean, my stress dreams are usually from being in, what is it, wind ensemble, concert band?
Yeah,
what is it?
Daytime band, school band.
Yeah, school band. Is being at a band concert and showing up and not knowing the music.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that dream?
Well, yeah, it's like, the dream of the test that you didn't study for.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
But that's very much the one that I have reoccurring.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, and then you, like, look down, you don't have pants on. Kind of thing. Yeah, that's textbook. That's bad.
Which, I mean, like, doing it was bad enough.
Right.
So.
Did you ever have any, like, I never soloed. That was my thing.
I did a little bit, occasionally in jazz band. Sometimes you don't do it in marching band. Definitely a little bit in pit band.
That was always the thing that scared me the most, was being called out to solo.
Yeah. It's horrifying.
Mortified.
Yeah.
Mortified. And that's a big part of jazz, is improving and soloing.
Absolutely.
And it's really important. And I just was so scared to play alone in front of a group of people. That's really nerve-wracking.
Well, especially, again, like we said, we're 14-year-old girls.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably the most vulnerable I will ever be in my life.
Right, yeah.
You know, so I couldn't imagine. So being in such a hostile environment
Wild.
is just insane. However, I will say, as much as we're shitting on these bands, one of my favorite things that I ever did in high school was play in the pit band for show choir.
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
I had an absolute blast.
Well, because they were like, play quarter notes while these awful out-of-tune singers sing Lady Gaga over it. And I'm like, yeah, this is my dream. Like, this is awesome.
It was brilliant. And we had wonderful instructors. Mm-hmm. Some of the kindest people that I knew in the music sector. Yeah,
which really did balance out our whole high school experience, I would say, that we did have a pretty full breadth of band instructors, educators who really cared about us, who were very kind, who were good at their jobs, who knew how to talk to kids appropriately. Yeah, and then versus the not so great ones. So I think we were pretty self-aware of how shitty it was while we were in it, which I think is a pretty rare
yes
thing.
And no, because I mean, at a certain, like, I think it's the way it affects you, you're not so aware of. You're just kind of in it. But yeah, I remember being like, this is horrible. Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad.
Yeah. No wonder I have, like, Lexapro as my prescription these days.
Right.
Oh my god.
There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
There's a super glue in the open hand rules to unpack here.
Absolutely. I mean, one of my, I just remember going home from, like, band practices and not being able to get the music out of my head because we did it that much for, like, 8 hours.
And some people love that. And there are just some people who are built like that, who love that shit and they want to grind. And if that's you, that's cool. But you also have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think finding that line between, like, it becoming an obsession to the point where you're, like, withering away for this thing is something that it's like I'm not talked about enough, I think, of just, like, you know, how people who are working that hard need a break too, right? If you're operating on that level, like, and we were talking earlier about, like, feeling guilty, right, about taking time for yourself.
Sure.
And, like, if you feel like you're working so hard all the time and then when you stop, you're like, why am I should be productive. I should be putting things out into the world. And I can imagine dialing that up to 1,000.
Yeah.
Being a person who operates on that level of intensity all the time, I can imagine you feel riddled with guilt anytime you're not practicing.
Yeah.
Anytime if you're being held to that standard. So yeah, mental health tip. It's important to not feel guilty about looking out for yourself and look out for your friends too.
Yeah.
Because that shit. Yeah. I'm like, why are we all getting screamed at? That's mad weird.
It went on for like a good like 2 or 3 years too.
A good long while.
Like it was genuinely impressive.
But yeah, I think this movie is it's great. It's also I think it's a huge green flag movie. I have a friend whose boyfriend I put Caravan on. I think my music library just came on shuffle in my car.
Nice.
And he was like, "Oh, Caravan, Whiplash, that's my favorite movie." And I was like, in my head, I was like, well, green flag. I was like, that's the perfect, that's the ideal situation. I told her that later. I was like, I know, even though I've known him for a long time, and I already do like him, I like him even more now. Like, favorite movie, check. Check.
It is brilliant.
Green check for men if your favorite movie is Whiplash. Because I assume that you get it.
I would hope so. I'm sure there's people that don't.
Yeah. But then I think they wouldn't enjoy it because they would have been like, what?
Yeah.
You know? So, but yeah, I think in the final 10 minutes of this, just really the acting, I think, is exceptional.
It's dialed.
J.K. Simmons, this is a vascular performance from J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons is rock hard this entire film.
Sexy.
He's hot, yeah.
So hot.
Unfortunately, him taking off the blazer, just the black t-shirt, why is he ripped?
Yeah, like, I fully bricked up.
Yeah.
I'm convinced he was taking,
Viagra.
Yeah, to get fully bricked up because just the veins in his forehead were just like a beautiful map of rivers that I couldn't stop staring at.
Yeah.
Pulsating with rage. You asked me if you thought that this was difficult for him. And we kind of agreed, probably not.
Probably not. I think
it's really intense, right? Like,
I think it's probably. I mean, I think you have to get there, but I think that angry and rage filled is probably one of the. I mean, and I can't say I'm not an actor, but especially for a man who's been in the business for as many years as J.K. Simmons has been,
right?
I feel like tapping
into the worst guy you know and act like him, right?
Yeah,
duh.
It feels like it's not that heavy of work to be doing.
Just like
even though he was phenomenal. Do not get me wrong.
Oh,
all the credit to this man and his performance. I think it's brilliant.
Deserves the Oscar. Yeah, but it's like, instead of being subtle, which I believe could be a bit more difficult, it's just completely dialed up to 100.
Yeah, love it.
Just at all times, which, I'm obsessed with. I love his black little t-shirt, his cunty little t-shirt. I'm
dropping to my knees.
Right, the belt. Oof. If this movie had a dick, I would suck it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll say that.
Absolutely.
I'll say that much. But I think that this watch around, I was tapping in a little bit more towards the Miles Teller's character, what's his name? Andrew. Andrew being, like, pretty unlikable, and that the whole plot...
Yeah, he sucks.
The whole subplot with Marley Rose is really there... is really there for us to be like, no, like, you as an audience, really, you shouldn't really like him either. Like,
Andrew sucks.
He's not very likable, and it's okay if you're kind of rooting against him. Yeah. It's okay to be on J.K. Simmons' side, even though he is an absolute monster. When Andrew was giving him a lip some of those times, I said, boy, I will curb stomp your ass right now if you do not get out of this rehearsal. I'd throw a chair at your head, too. Yeah, absolutely wild.
Also... To be fair, during the scene, the rushing or dragging scene, I will say, I think J.K. Simmons gave him plenty of opportunities to get it right.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Yeah. Not you taking the side.
Maybe it's the trauma talking.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know. But also, like, this film is so crazy because you see the level of expertise and experience that the band that Andrew is initially playing in.
Right.
High school level.
Awful.
High school level.
And this is supposed to be like a conservatory.
Yeah.
Like
Schaefer Conservatory or something like that.
A very prestigious musical institution.
Yeah, it's essentially like Berkeley for whatever world we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. And they always were talking about what, Lincoln Center?
Lincoln Center is like a big performance space.
We just discussed this on our Black Swan episode too. I didn't really know about Lincoln Center, but that's like where all the big arts, the high arts of New York City happens.
Yes, ma'am.
Very that. Do we want to get into our regularly scheduled program?
Absolutely.
So, fuck, marry, kill... I feel like, what is it? J.K. Simmons, Miles Teller, and who? Marley Rose? Or who? The dad? Or who's our third person? There's hardly a third person in this film to even really consider. Maybe just jazz as a concept? The concept of jazz, maybe?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna fuck J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
I will kill Andrew, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm going to legally wed the concept of jazz, I think.
I don't know if I want to marry the concept of jazz.
Oh, I'm just married to jazz.
I just don't think I could marry J.K. Simmons.
That's what I mean. That's why I just have to have sex with him.
But I don't know if I want to...
You can't marry Andrew either. He's also...
No, he's horrible. Awful. I do have to kill Andrew easily. Easily.
Easy.
Yeah, I'm making sure that 16-wheeler runs right over him. 18-wheeler, whatever.
I actually think anyone in this movie who we put in the third spot, I'm marrying. The dad, married. Marley Rose, married. Anyone who's not these two guys, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to marry the concept of jazz.
Or just like roulette wheel anything else.
Anything else,
The forgotten folder.
Yeah.
I'll marry.
Yeah, fuck it.
The drumsticks.
And the chair that gets thrown at him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hot.
No, I will be, getting right down on my knees.
He's gonna say not quite my tempo.
Yeah, the soul out of him.
Not quite my tempo. That's a good one to hit people with on the day to day.
Yeah,
not quite my tempo. It's what we're operating at right
Classic,
now. Not quite my tempo.
And then what are you gonna eat and drink with this movie?
Again, because this is entirely nostalgic and fueled by my experience in high school band, my lovely mother Jen used to always come through for the homies and bring us Wendy's when we were at those long full day rehearsals, or after school rehearsal goes until 5 and then another rehearsal goes from 5:30 to 8:30 or whatever. So you'd have they'd give you a half hour window to eat. Yeah. My mom would always come through and bring us Wendy's.
Amazing.
And my go-to order was what's their bacon burger called? A Baconator?
Baconator,
it was
something
a
like
Baconator.
that, whatever.
Yeah, it was a Baconator and a cherry Dr. Pepper.
Oh, that's so good.
And that was my in-between band. And then I just blew all that hot meat grease straight into a saxophone like nobody's business.
Classic.
Just cherry Dr. Pepper scented air.
Oh, God, that's
blow fast
disgusting.
Air right.
Ugh, band is nasty. Spit valves. Yep. Get out of my face. Mm-hmm. Also, some of the worst smelling people I've ever been next to in my life.
Band kids.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go ahead and call it back to my middle school band days, which were much better than my high school band days. I loved band in middle school. I thought it was a blast. Yeah. I had such a good time.
That's where I made all my friends.
Yeah, and we stayed friends. Yeah. It was really middle school.
Anyone who stayed with band stayed my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so our band teacher in middle school, whenever we would stay after school, say you had to get math tutoring or whatever, she would have the big Costco size snacks in her room
of
chips and cookies and things like that.
Famous Amos.
Yep. Oh, don't get me started with Amos.
Very famous Amos.
But so we would always go down there and it would be 25 cents for a bag of Smart Food was usually my go-to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say Smart Food. And around that time, I remember drinking a lot of Arnold Palmer.
Yes.
So I think just some Smart Food and some Arnold Palmer, some AP.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
That was mad chill that she sold snacks like that. And she kept them cheap, too.
Mad cheap.
She was like, I'm not
no inflation.
Yeah. I like that. She also gave us some of the best advice I think anyone can give a young person, which is that to be early is to be on time and to be on time is to be late.
Exactly.
And she really drilled that. She's like, for a concert, when I tell you to get here at 5:30, it means get here at 5:15 so that you're asking me in the seat at 5:30.
Exactly.
And I try to live my life by that. I don't always, but it feels good to get to something early and to know you have time to settle in before it starts.
She was not wrong.
She was right for that.
Loved her. I had a wonderful band experience in middle school because of her.
Yes.
And that's what I look back fondly on.
Yeah, shouts out. Shouts out to the good band teachers and good educators out there.
Yeah, shout out to the people that want to be teaching.
And then what are you going to watch after this? I was considering Tar. Would tonally go.
Sure.
But Tar, again, is just a lot of really intense dialogue-driven scenes that I just don't really care for. And that movie's also 3 hours long, so I didn't really care for Tar. But I think tonally you could rock a Tar after
makes
this.
Sense.
Also Black Swan, of course. But I'm going to go out and say you should watch Challengers because I do think the Tashi Duncan loving tennis to that degree and then that being robbed of her and that being the story we get to explore is pretty interesting because that is very much an Andrew Neiman situation. What if drums got taken away from him? Then what happens? What do we do then? Yeah. And that movie's also just great and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And this movie is kind of depressing.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and go for a heartwarming one. I watched it for the first time very recently and I definitely cried a couple of times. Billy Elliot.
Oh,
Have you ever seen Billy Elliot?
With Jamie Bell?
Yes.
No, I've never seen it.
It is so heartwarming. It is so good. It is all about this little boy, and he just has to dance.
That's beautiful.
And that's it. And it's Julie Walters, I think, in it. You're fantastic. Jamie Bell is brilliant as this tiny little boy.
Jamie Bell, Tom Holland, father-son casting win. I don't know if that age difference is right. Maybe older, young versions
brothers,
of the same guy.
Yes, whatever.
Something. Get those Billy Elliots back together.
No, I swear. That movie made its way onto my top 4 recently.
Oh, wow, really?
I really liked it.
I'll have to give it a watch.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I highly recommend. But it's just, it's sweet. And it makes you remember that there are people that do things because they're passionate about it and they enjoy it.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that concludes Whiplash. What are you giving it out of 10? I'm gonna give it an 8.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8 this time.
Yeah, I think it'll probably stay about there. I think it's just a great movie. It's visually very enticing. It's great story writing. You know, could it have been better? Were there some like weird kind of laggy moments, pacing wise, whatever. But yeah, I think this movie shows that you can have a $3.3 million budget and make one of the greatest films of all time.
Absolutely.
Like, there really is no lower limit to resources. It's about your creativity and, you know, good performances and good writing and people who care about making movies that look good, right? I love those behind the scenes shots, specifically of the final drum solo, of them spinning the camera super fast.
Oh, I love it.
Like, they did that all, you know, practically with camera movements, swiveling between J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller on the set. So good. And
that's Damien Chazelle is fabulous with that.
Right, and like Miles Teller actually learning to play the drums at that level.
Amazing.
Commitment to the bit, to the performance. I love to see it. And thank you for everyone who suggested that we cover this movie, because we love it. We had our big one. We had our big trauma dump. Our big band.
Please let us know if any of you ever had any similar experiences, either in your theater department or your band department, in your show choir.
Tell us the best tea from your high school theater department.
Please. Oh my god, we had a lot more that we could have. Maybe another day.
A lot more fake names that I would have had to have made up, because
plenty.
It's just wild. But yeah, thank you for listening. We'll be continuing to cover movies from the year 2014 for the rest of this month. Last week we negated a theme because we had some wonderful guests on from the Bi-Iconic podcast. Be sure to go listen to our episode about The Idea of You, which we did with them last week. And yeah, thank you for listening. Click the links in the description below to follow us on stuff. If you want to give us movie suggestions in Spotify, you can just type it into the Q&A section. I believe you are prompted within the poll of what movie, but you can also just DM us anything you think, theme ideas, movie ideas. What do you think? What do you think of the new Beetlejuice movie? What do you think of the new Joker trailer? Tell us what you think of new stuff. Yeah. Because I'm excited. I'm really excited about the new SNL movie, right?
Oh, I'm so thrilled.
Rachel Sennett has been looking very hot lately.
Oh, God, don't get me started.
Don't get me started on Rachel Sennett. So, logging off. Goodbye and good night. We love you all. And not quite my tempo.